they still had, situations where it was like maybe their clients had disruptions or shutdowns, so that affected their contracts, their vendors, their supply chains, things like that. So people are taking into consideration all of these factors. So if you don't meet the first criteria, which could be your 50% revenue loss for 2020 and 20% revenue loss for 2021, then you're going now into the state, county, local, like mandates, protocols of COVID, things like that.
Got it.
So that's where I'm like, there is not an exact science to this.
Hey, what's going on, Cashflow Hackers? It's Chris with Life 180, and I am here today with Debbie Merrick with the Tax Incentive Agency, and she is the National Program Manager with them. And we're going to be talking about something that I think is going to be extremely valuable. Now, I met Debbie a couple weeks ago at an event, and when we were there, we were talking about the Employee Retention Tax Credit. Did I get that right?
Yes.
ERTC for short. If you see it, maybe if you're a business owner, you've heard of this. Maybe you've tried to get it and been denied. All sorts of stuff. So I had never heard of this because I personally only deal with contract employees or contract workers, vendors, and we don't have W-2 employees, so it's never been on my radar. And so when I met Debbie and she was talking to me about what she did for entrepreneurs to be able to help them kind of recapture this money through tax credits for this money that, quite frankly, the government is just dying to give away, I was like, that sounds too good to be true. I'm not gonna lie. Like it did. And so I started reaching out to some of my contacts, some of my clients, some of the people that I work with, the business owners that I network with, and started asking them about it. And some of them said, heck yeah, man, I did it. It was amazing. I had one person who was like, I got 700 grand. And I'm like, holy crap, that's awesome.
Yes.
And then I had other people go, I tried, but my CPA denied me and I couldn't do it or whatever. And then I actually had another person be like, my CPA told me I couldn't do it and I got frustrated and I went around and I found somebody else to help me do it. And then when I talked to Debbie, she was like, that's what we do all the time. And so I thought, rather than me going out and doing all the research and just trying to make a video, I just bring the expert on and have her talk about it, because the bottom line is this is an amazing program. This is money, and I'll just give my understanding of it and then I'm gonna let you run with it. This is a program that the government is literally giving away, and they want to give away. They have to give away $100 billion. So if we know they're gonna give away $100 billion, we wanna take part in that if we can. I'm a big believer, small business owners, entrepreneurs are the backbone of this country. And so I think this is an amazing opportunity. And if you have it, we'll have at the end of this, I'll give you some guidance on how you can actually get in touch with her, and you'll see why you want to. But before we get into all that, let's just have a conversation about this, because I, quite frankly, don't understand it all still.
Yeah.
But I know that this program is legit. I know it's out there. I know there's a lot of confusion around it. So can you kind of help?
Sure.
I don't know. Why does a business owner kind of want to do this?
Well, this is the thing, because all of the W-2 employers.
Yeah.
This legislature, through the CARES Act, which started in March of 2020, along with the PPP.
Yep.
And so the first part of confusion is that people think oh, is this just like the PPP? This is a loan. I have to pay it back with interest. No, this is not through the SBA. This is actually a program through the IRS.
That was funded with stimulus money, effectively?
Correct.
Okay,
yeah.
so this is part of the $5 trillion printing package that they had, guys. So what they did, out of the $5 trillion they printed, they gave $100 billion, which is what? 2%. 2% of that money they gave to entrepreneurs. So just get it.
Yeah,
right?
and actually, and then on top of it, when they were going through the infrastructure bill last September, they actually cut off the ERTC.
Oh.
At the same time, they were putting in place the infrastructure bill voting.
Okay.
So nobody really knew, and so then there was more confusion because people were like, "Oh, it ended." It's no, actually, it's just qualifying through that Q3 of 2021, but we still have over a year to claim the money for businesses.
So the time frame ended, but the ability to participate and take advantage of the bonus and maybe apply to see if you can earn the tax credits.
Exactly.
It's almost like getting a retroactive check.
Yeah.
Effectively.
Well, and I also tell people, like, it's like the rebates on like an electronic.
Okay.
You know, it's like you have that little card and it has like $100 on it.
Yep.
And some people like send it in.
Some people don't.
And some people don't.
Okay.
And that's where in the specialty tax world, which we are a specialty tax firm, which is very important to note because we are experts at this type of forensic accounting. In which a lot of generalist CPAs are not, because there are over 7,000 credits for CPAs to pay attention to. So as you can imagine, they probably aren't an expert at all 7,000 of them.
Totally.
So that's where having us as part of your tax team is super advantageous for you as a business owner because of the heightened, amounts of taxes that people are going to be paying and things like that. So we want to take all of the stress out of this program, and really we just want to go to work for you. Like, just send us the documents, send us what you have, and we have a list and everything, which includes your 941s and employee payroll by quarter based on per employee breakdown. So again, I mean, we make it so simple for people, and we just tell people, hey, if your CPA said this, if this came into play, I mean, we don't want you to take on the responsibility of figuring it out. And that's like the biggest thing that I see is people are like trying to figure this out. And I'm like, look, it's not your responsibility as a business owner to do that. So we are happy to do all the upfront research and the work even before you decide to work with us.
Got it. So basically somebody can reach out to you and there's no obligation. You will help them navigate the whole process. You'll help them at least understand what documentation, what forms or whatever they need to get to you.
Right.
If they can get that to you, you will do all the work.
Yes.
And you figure out what they qualify for, like how.
And that's what we'll go into. I just wanted to kind of set up this conversation.
Yeah, totally.
Because of the fact that like we're not trying to get anything out of you.
Right.
Like that's the thing, and I understand that a lot of things are coming at different business owners as far as like, okay, is this real? Is this not real? And like navigating through those types of financial decisions. Yeah. And especially in the tax world, because again, the 1%, like your Amazons, Tesla, these guys work with specialty tax firms. Yep. Like Ernst & Young, like Deloitte. And what's happened over the last like 5 to 10 years, more and more the medium and like I call them larger small businesses, like any business over like 5 employees, they're getting access to some of these specialty tax programs. Right. And that can help you as a business big time because it gives you a competitive advantage over your competitor that might not be taking advantage of these situations. So 100%. You're going to have more money for advertising, for employees, for overhead, things like that. So that's why I wanted to set up the conversation, to where, because I've actually been a business owner. We actually had a furniture store here in Scottsdale, and I knew that the resources were so critical, and that's why people working with you and your team on like all your financial advice and everything, and that's where I started, when I started really digging into the specialty tax world 4 years ago. I was blown away at the people that if the bigger the money, the faster they make the decision to go after these tax credits. Totally. Well, it's amazing.
Well, they have a team that handles it, right? I think the hard part is when you're a small business owner and you got 10 employees and you're just trying to run the ship, right? You can't captain the ship and make sure you don't run into icebergs and deal with all the paperwork on the side. Like it's not possible.
And that's why we want to take that off your plate and not have you figure out what that looks like.
Totally.
And so getting back to the nuts and bolts of the program, what this ERTC program is this is a wages reimbursement from your payroll from 2020 and Q1, 2, and 3 of 2021.
Okay, cool. So what happens if they took advantage of the PPP? Like,
they will take that into consideration in the calculations.
Okay.
So that's why on our laundry list, like our short list of documents that we require, because we're not even looking for your tax returns. We don't even need social security numbers. We don't need any of that kind of stuff.
Okay.
We're just looking for your PPP amounts and whether or not they were forgiven, which a lot of them are being forgiven.
Sure.
I'm also seeing where some of them are like being forgiven like 75%.
Really?
Yeah, like just really kind of, it depends on where you go and get the PPP. It's like some
who you
banks.
got it through.
Yeah, like
that's interesting.
It's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. And that's why, like I said, we're getting all of this documentation up front so that we have everything to show if there's anything that comes up in the future to where you would need to access that information.
Got it.
And then you don't have to worry about, oh my gosh, where did I put all this?
Right. Yep. Totally.
You know, as a business owner, sometimes it's hard to keep everything in one place, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially financials. So
100%. So what are the big like objections that you hear from people? Like to me, and I'm just very much, I'm one of those guys that like I see something, I'm like, okay, yes or no, like move next, I'm going, right? And so to me, if I'm a business owner that qualifies for this, I'm like, I'm going with this. I'm doing this, right?
Yeah.
So, but talk to me about the people. What are the objections that you hear, and why do those not make sense? Because I can't imagine, but I want to hear it.
And this is really literally where it comes down to the mindset of people and where they are in their tax journey. As far as if they're a smaller business and maybe they haven't paid a lot of taxes, or they are just getting employees or something, they may be a little more hesitant than somebody who has 40 employees, 50 employees. I mean, we can actually go up to 500 employees.
Whoa.
And so, and there's even programs beyond 500 that are for certain types of wages during 2020 and 2021. And so we can look at those larger companies if anybody has connections to those. That would be amazing. And at the same time, though, it's like, that's why like having the conversations about where you are. Like, it's not necessarily about us. And I mean, we are not helping some companies that, let's say it's like a mortgage company. They were in an office. They had 8 people. They all did their work the same during 2021. That's not somebody...
Business went up for them.
Yeah, so business went up and they had no disruption.
Right.
Because they're like, hey, we're in the same office and we're just here.
And they were flooded.
Yeah, so totally. But I actually just had a real estate office that they actually, because of the overhead that they had during 2020 and 21, because they had like 16 W-2s for their 40 agents that support them, and they actually got round 1 and round 2 of PPP. So that means that they automatically qualify for Q1 of 2021. So that's where, again, because we've worked on files since day one of this program, it's really important to not discount. Because I'm working also, just to note, is I'm working with a lot of companies in California. Most of those companies that I'm working with did get PPP 1 and 2 round, and they've still had their CPA tell them they didn't qualify.
Of course, right? And so, that's what's happening.
Again, that's really like per state, because we're working with all 50 states. But some of the states that had more restrictions, lockdowns, like Oregon State, Washington State, Illinois, New York,
Vermont, where I'm from.
So I mean, even the ones that are more open, like a Texas, like a Florida, they still had, situations where it was like maybe their clients had disruptions or shutdowns, so that affected their contracts, their vendors, their supply chains, things like that. So people are taking into consideration all of these factors. So if you don't meet the first criteria, which could be your 50% revenue loss for 2020 and 20% revenue loss for 2021, then you're going now into the state, county, local, like mandates, protocols of COVID, things like that.
Got it.
So that's where I'm like, there is not an exact science to this.
Okay, so I always, when I make these videos, I always try to put myself in the position of like the viewer, right? Like, and I'm thinking, okay, like what are they thinking? Like somebody's watching this, and if I'm watching this, I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, if I want to do this, this all sounds really good, but I'm a skeptical person by nature, and so my question is like, how much is it going to cost me, and how long is it going to take, and what does that look like? Because like I want to get to that, and then we can get into the other stuff, because I know if somebody's thinking that as they're watching this, they're probably going to be thinking like, they're not emotionally be able to like really connect with what where the value is here.
To be honest with you,
me too.
Because I want to have all the questions answered.
Totally.
Like I would rather walk away and feel good about the fact that they made the right decision for their business. Because I'm not their business. And so, of course, I have the entrepreneurial background. So I can have that, conversation because I've been there and I had heavy inventory business. And so, but the thing is that we do all, like I said, we do all the upfront work without a charge. So we will get your number for the claim. And then we call
Meaning, what does that mean? You'll get their number for the claim. Meaning, what does that mean?
We will do the research and the calculations for them. Up front without charging anything. Okay. And what we found is that, some people are like, oh my gosh, why would you do that? It's like, well, don't you want to get the retainers ahead of time and do? But what we're finding is that because this is such uncharted territory, we would rather have somebody understand that they are due some money before we go into a client agreement with them.
Got it. So you do the legwork up front. You put you work with them to get all the information. You do the heavy lifting effectively. And then you figure out what the claim is worth, like how much money they could, that you would submit for.
Correct, yes.
And am I using the right terminology?
Yes, that is the right,
So you figure out how much money you're going to, like what the claim submission would be as far as the monetization, the value of that claim. And then from there, you submit it. And how do you make your money?
So what we do is we have a client agreement with a contingency fee. So our contingency fee is based on the claim amount. So if it's $100,000, we take 15%. So that would be $15,000.
So you're basically like an injury attorney, right? So like an injury attorney, they'll work for you for free, and they'll work on your case if they accept you, because they know they're going to win the case or get some sort of settlement or something. And then you only pay them when you're successful. And so people effectively only pay you if you're able to pull through and get them the money.
Correct.
So there's really no out-of-pocket expense for anybody. I mean, it's coming retroactively after you've gained them
which is very
whatever amount of money.
Unusual in
That's
specialty
a big deal.
tax, because the firms that I have been familiar with, and I actually used to work for another one, they would get tens of thousands of dollars up front before they would actually do the work. They would do some of the estimates ahead of time, but then to really work with them, you had to pay, and sometimes it was up to 30 to 40% of the money that they're finding you, which again, it's found money. So
yeah, I mean,
where
that's more in
tell
alignment
people-
with what an injury attorney would do is
Yeah.
they get a third, right? Like, I mean,
exactly.
that's pretty
So
normal.
that's
So
where,
15% seems really fair to me.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that like almost too low. Why don't you charge more?
Well, because this is what we found is that we are just working with the volume
Yeah.
of clients,
Yeah.
and we really want to help save American businesses.
Yeah.
Like that's
I love
really, and our owner, Ken Poblano, our managing partner, he's a veteran.
Love
He's
it.
like been a business owner himself. He actually was in the transportation business in LA.
Beautiful.
And we actually were colleagues in another company. And so when he put this group together, and his friend, who's Tyler Herringer, he's our enrolled agent who has a license number.
Yep.
So that's why I tell people, like, hey, you can go on our website, you can see, you can do a Google search. He is licensed by the IRS. So,
and an enrolled agent, if you guys don't know what an enrolled agent is, it's the highest endorsement that you can get from the IRS. Did I say that right? Yeah. That I mean, that's in my opinion, I'd rather work with an enrolled agent. No offense to all the CPAs out there, but that's just me.
But they can also be a part of a CPA team.
Totally.
So that's where, again, we're not trying, this is the thing, because, oh my gosh, like, I understand that you may have loyalty to your CPA.
Totally.
Like, I love CPA.
Yeah, you're not trying to steal the relationship.
We are not going to take all the business away from them. We want to be your partner in your tax team.
Isn't it fair to say that you're like really just a value add to not just to the client, not to the person, the entrepreneur, but to the CPA? Because if you're able to get them more money, I mean, that business is now more stable, and that CPA is going to have more jobs.
More money.
Yeah, totally.
For other projects.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, the whole purpose, I look at this, guys, it's an opportunity to get money to reinvest, to expand your business, right?
Absolutely.
Like, and when you do that, you need those key people, and the CPA is just one of those pillars that you need in your business to be able to do it. And so, like, and this is one of the things that I heard in my conversations with entrepreneurs and business owners that I was kind of just poking around over the past couple of weeks with this is, well, I already have a CPA, and my CPA told me this. It's like, well, you know, what if this would maybe counter what your CPA said? What if this could work anyway? And think about the value, the benefit that would have to your CPA, because a lot of businesses are struggling right now. Even the ones that are kind of getting by or whatever, successful, they're pretty cash strapped because they had that big cash burn, and the PPP only got so far. It's like, you know, the government says, hey, we're going to shut you down for all this period of time, and this is what we're going to give you. And it wasn't enough for most businesses, right? And so this is, I think, their way of backing that up a little bit and trying to do a little bit more for companies. Like, I mean, obviously I haven't spoken to anybody about that, but that's just kind of the way I'm looking at this. And so if you're an entrepreneur that's even working with a CPA right now, I would say make sure that you, make sure that you just take a look at this. I mean,
and this is the thing. Get them, like, if they are concerned, let's us all work on it together. Let's get down to the bottom of the concern.
Totally. Yeah, 100%. So this is the way I'm looking at it. Like, if you're watching this video and you're still watching at this point in time, my guess is you have some curiosity about this and it's relevant in your life on some level. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a link down. So I've been working with Debbie and her team just to make this system and process really easy to make a process down for you. So we put together a landing page, so to speak. And what that is just basically designed to make it easy for you to ask you some questions to see if the program makes sense for you to go through ultimately. And if you go through that page, then you can get on the phone with Debbie and her team and all the experts on her team. There is no cost. It's a free consultation. She is super chill. I'll say that personally. She will work with you, answer any questions, give you peace of mind. This may not be for you. If it's not, she's not going to BS you. Like, she's going to tell you straight up, it's not for you. If it is for you, you still don't have to spend any money. They'll help you gather all your stuff, and then it's only going to cost you if and when they can find you the money and get you the money from the IRS.
Yes.
Did I miss anything?
We do have a submission fee,
Okay.
which is only $300.
Oh.
That just covers a little housekeeping and overnighting your file to the IRS.
Okay.
So
you're basically covering the cost to make the submission.
Yeah.
Basically.
So, and also,
which is super cheap.
I would like to let people know that if they have nonprofits, and if, you know, churches, universities, colleges, just all different other types of businesses, even though they don't pay taxes, they actually still pay payroll tax. So
okay.
And we've also been able to help, especially restaurants, and there's been some other categories, but companies that started after COVID started.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
So we can actually help with Q3 and Q4 of 2021. We can get up to $100,000, which we've actually gotten the maximum for an Italian restaurant up in Cave Creek.
So if you were gutsy enough to start a company after COVID, the government wants to give you a bonus for taking the risk. That's really what it comes down to.
And so, hey, I mean, like I said, it's got a lot of different dimensions to this program. And so that's why I'm like, look, I will talk to anyone. Like, please, just like, let's have a conversation, because I would rather you call and we say, hey, you know what? Like I get 1099 people all the time to try to sneak by, and I'm like, I wish I could help you.
Nothing.
I can't help you.
If you're 1099, we apologize in advance.
I know.
No can do.
I wish I could help you guys.
Well, that's cool. Is there anything else, or that seems pretty, like, it's worth your time. Just check it out. Like, if you haven't gotten the ERTC yet for yourself, and you have any sort of W-2 employees and a business with W-2 employees, you need to look into this. This is no cost, no harm, no foul. Go through the process. She'll find you money. I know it. I've talked to the people she had. Like, it's awesome. It's awesome. So that's why I wanted to bring her on this channel, because like literally I know the value that this can add. Now, if and when you find that money and you need something to do with it, feel free to circle back up with me, and I'm happy to help you out with our team,
and
right?
That's really one of the reasons that I got involved with specialty tax, because I was working with other insurance agents, and they were looking like superheroes.
Totally.
Because when you're competing against 6 other insurance agents, and you're the one that found your client $100,000,
rock star status.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah,
it's like, and you've got the products in which to put them into. And a lot of our bigger clients are looking at those types of insurance products and real estate. Investing in real estate.
100%. So that's awesome. So guys, if you have any questions at all, comment in the comment section below. I'll do my best to engage with every single comment. I am putting a link down at the very, very top of the description down below. So you can go down, check that out. And if you just follow that link, it'll guide you through a process. If you have other questions, feel free to email me directly, chris@life180.com, and I can connect you with Debbie personally via email or via 3-way call or whatever it looks like, whatever you're comfortable with. I don't really care. It's fine. We'll make it happen. And that's it. It really is that simple. So Debbie, awesome.
Oh my
Thanks
gosh,
for being here. I'm so excited that you were able to. And it's awesome that you live close too. So
I know.
I mean, she was able to come down here, get to the studio, and do some cool things.
It's awesome here. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you. It's awesome. So guys, have a blessed, inspirational day. Let me know if you have any questions, and we'll talk to you on the next video. Take care.